Okay, it's 9:01. Thank you very much to everybody for making it on time. I'm not gonna keep you waiting any longer. We're gonna jump straight in, and yeah, I'm very excited. I hope you guys are equally excited. Please just let me know if you can hear me. If you can just type in the chat box to let me know if you can hear me. I've been meaning to show my face just for a minute or two. Good morning, everyone. I am a live human being. I'm not an AI robot or anything. Just wanted to make sure that you are being hosted by a live human being. So if you don't mind, please just type in the chat box. Let me know if you can hear me. And again, thanks again very much for you guys making it on time. I really appreciate it. All right, I'm just opening my chat box. Good morning. Hi, Khomotso. Hi, Hank. Hi, everyone. Great. I'm glad you can hear me. So we're going to jump straight in, really. We do have quite a lot to cover, and I'm really going to spray from a fire hose because there's so much to cover, and I really want to give you as much value for making the time today. So feel free to just keep typing in the chat if you need anything, and I'll keep checking in to see if I can address those questions in the middle. But ideally, we should, I'll probably only make time properly for questions and answers at the end of the session, which is going to be quite filled with a lot of information. So yeah, let's get started without further ado. So for those who don't know me, I'm KK Diaz. I'm a business strategist. We do digital marketing. I'm also an author. I've published 5 books, and I've been doing what I do for over 18 years now. It's been a very interesting career. And what our business does, again, for those who don't know who we are, as A-Game Business, we formulate business strategies, high impact and innovative business strategies for our clients, as well as deploy digital transformation in areas of inbound marketing, customer relationship management, training and development, and obviously the back office systems that include your overall business processes and systems. And some of the clients we've worked with, as you can see, some may be familiar to you, some maybe not so much. And basically, we work right across the spectrum in terms of size and in terms of industry as well. So just maybe some housekeeping rules. More than anything, this is really a warning to say there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you today, and really it's sequential information. One leads to the other. So please do avoid distractions. Switch your phone off or put it on silent, whatever the case may be, and make sure that you are paying attention. And I also like to always tell people that what I share is not a get-rich-quick scheme. What I'm going to be sharing with you is not necessarily easy to do, but it is simple to some extent, and it is practical. I'm hoping that I'll convey that to you. As mentioned, we do have a lot to cover. And lastly, I think it's purely because of winter season, so there's a bit of overloading on the power grids and so on. I know not too far from where I stay, there were complaints of power outages yesterday. So if any of that happens, i.e. technical drops due to my connection or because of load shedding, if you can just give me a few minutes if I'm the one who disconnects, right? If I'm the one who disconnects, if you can just give me a few minutes, I should and will be able to reconnect. But if it's you who's having any technical problem, just simply log out and log back in again. That should be fine. I hope that's fine with everyone. If you can just give me a yes in your chat box, just to make sure that you understand and if you're fine with that. All right, I hope you can still hear me. Fantastic, thanks. Karen, nice to see you. Fantastic, all right. Again, without further ado, I'm gonna jump in. Grant, thank you. Thanks everyone, appreciate it. All right, so the 5 tactics for 10x growth strategy, the agenda, so to speak. I'm going to cover how you can build your dream business. And your dream business does not necessarily mean from scratch, right? But it's really about looking at a business in terms of how your business could potentially look going forward. We're going to look at the one key tactic to building a successful venture, and that is actually our tactic number one, which has been proven to be one of the most important dynamics and elements of a successful business. We're also going to very quickly look at what it takes to build a scalable business model, and obviously how to achieve marketing and sales goals, as well as the immediate steps that you can take to grow. One of my favorite quotes is by Alvin Toffler, the late Alvin Toffler, who said that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn and unlearn and relearn. And as we've seen with the COVID-19 pandemic, so many of us, if not all of us, have really just been forced into a state where we need to learn new tricks and implement new tactics in order to grow our businesses, and obviously to find a new way of living and interacting with others. And so the only way we're going to survive really is if we learn new ways and obviously unlearn the old ways that did not serve us back in the day. And one of the things that I hope I hope that you will take away from this session and going forward is to be aware and to truly just realize the importance of implementing strategies and growing your business should not happen when you are forced to do so, okay? It should be something that you do in order to invest in securing the future of your business, i.e. not because you are forced to, but because it's inherent and it's important for any business to grow, that this has to be an ongoing process, an ongoing activity that you invest in, which is to make sure that you are always learning new ways to grow your business. You know, these stats were relevant, in the old normal, but I'm going to share them anyway. And just to kind of give you context and to juxtapose that with what's happening right now. I mean, not too long ago, we had failure rates of anywhere between 65 to 80% for businesses within 3 years. And a very, very few businesses, actually 4%, and this is around the world, only 4% of businesses really would survive a period of 10 years. And this is not just for small businesses, right? If you look at the S&P 500 index in the US, which is the stock exchange in the US, businesses, the life cycle of businesses on the S&P 500 index also had decreased by more than 50 years, meaning even businesses of that large scale, would be in existence for about 15 years. And the reason is because those businesses would not continue reinvesting in their strategy, in their business models, and obviously looking at the value proposition that they offer to the market and whether that value proposition was relevant or not. It's very important to obviously continue doing that. This morning, I looked at headlines that were sharing how many businesses were failing, and it is shocking. I know in the beginning when COVID-19 hit, and it was just all over the news as it continues to be. We were finding out more and more the different types of businesses that were failing. I know EdCon was already on its way out, and it was really sad to see the CEO, in tears, talking about how they were not going to be able to pay their suppliers and just how, the company was going bankrupt. And I think some of the words that were used to describe, COVID-19 are still used to describe COVID-19's impact on businesses is unprecedented, right? I mean, you look at companies like Virgin Air in Virgin Australia. Virgin Air Australia has also filed for bankruptcy. Companies like McDermott International, J. Crew, Hertz, there's a lot of companies. This is just to give you context around all the different types of businesses that are failing. And I think what we all appreciate is that it's made it real for all of us. As a business that's always been in digital transformation and strategy, this is what we do on a day-to-day, which is help businesses to define new business strategies. And this is the gospel that we sing, at least to those who will allow us to sing about what we do and the importance of doing all of this work. So it's really been devastating, but the best we can do is take full advantage of the situation right now and not let the crisis go to waste, as somebody was quoted as saying before. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about now is the first tactic. I'm going to share 5 tactics with you. And the first one being to establish what's called a product market fit, okay? Something that's undeniable is that the purpose of a business is to find, sell to, and to keep customers, right? What you have to appreciate is that the way customers find, buy, and use products and services has evolved significantly, right? I mean, that was the case before COVID-19, but COVID-19 has accelerated that so much more. And you don't have to look far. For example, I mean, you look at your situation where you are, how you buy products, how you use them, how you want them to delivered and so forth has changed. And it should be appreciated as well that the same has happened for your customers. And therefore, we need to look at how we can continue to cater our products and services to our customers in the best way that they expect them. Now, some of those expectations that have changed in as far as your customers' expectations are concerned, it includes things like the culture of instant gratification, right? People want things now and they want them right away. On-demand delivery, meaning I don't want to wait too long, or I don't want to subscribe to things if I don't need them, right? I only want to use them when I want them at that particular time. Also, the subscription economy. The subscription economy speaks to how companies, or rather how customers want to rather subscribe, right? The idea of purchasing products and services in large lump sums has really taken a knock, especially now because so many companies have taken a knock in as far as their cash flow, their revenues and profits, right? So it really makes sense to create the kind of products and services that can be purchased using a subscription model, right? Product and service personalization as well has become more and more important. With so many companies that provide what's called commodities, so much of what we do is commoditized. And so it's become much more and more important for companies to actually personalize their products and services. And obviously, stiff global competition has come to our shores. International companies are here locally, and we have to fend off those companies by meeting those standards that those companies have come to deliver to their customers. So what you have to do, right, is to establish something called a product market fit. Now, what is a product market fit? There's a gentleman known as Mark Andreessen. He's an American entrepreneur and investor, and he defined this term as being, so having product market fit means being in a good market with a product that can easily satisfy that market, which is very important to contextualize and to be very objective about, because all of us as business people think that we've got the most amazing products, right? That may not necessarily be objective. And I think right now is the best time to see if truly your product does fit in terms of what the market is looking for. So the definition we love to use to define product market fit, as per what's on the screen now, we say you have product market fit when you offer a unique product or service that a great market, great, we mean a big market, right? So that a big market desperately wants and has the money and is willing to pay for it. Okay, I hope that makes sense. That is really in a nutshell what having product market fit is. And product market fit also speaks to the degree to which your product satisfies a strong market demand and a strong market need. Okay, and there are ways to see and to measure if you actually have product market fit or not. Okay, and one of the ways to see that is let's say you have obviously your product or service or both, right? You would determine if you have product market fit by having, let's say, once you've signed up a client or a client has purchased from you, okay? And let's say about a month, a quarter, maybe even 6 months later, you still have 80% of those customers still buying from you, okay? Because clearly, if that's the case, then it means you have something that is fulfilling their needs, is fulfilling their desires, is fulfilling the jobs that they want to complete, okay? So that's very important to note. You will know you have product market fit if once you've sold your product or service, that customers keep coming back to you, and you have anywhere between 70 to 80% of them coming back to you. That is when you know you have product market fit. So there were companies that did very well up to late last year, and as far as meeting or reaching what we call product market fit. You know, Boss Iced Tea was one of them. It was really a company that under 10 years, you know, was started and grown from 0 to something like 100 million in under 10 years. And again, these are just examples of companies that had met or achieved product market fit. Sobe, a lot of us know who Sobe is. I mean, they achieved annual turnovers of what, $500 million at one point. I know this industry has also had a tough knock against their revenues, and obviously, you know, because of social distancing, companies such as these are struggling, right? But the point here is these were companies that had hit product market fit at some point. And the interesting thing about such companies is because they were very intentional in defining their value proposition and business model, which is what I'm going to talk to you about next, they can actually scale and pivot their businesses to a point where they can. But I know that not many are going to actually be able to do that successfully. Get Smarter is another company. They have a very clever way of delivering educational products and services to their customers. They use existing universities to deliver that infrastructure, or rather as the infrastructure through which they deliver educational products and services. And obviously Yoko, which is a card processing system, which I'm sure you've seen it mainly at small businesses. They started out in 2015 and they were able to raise just about $250 million rands in Series B funding. And again, this is because they had achieved product market fit, okay? And I can only imagine that companies like Yoko will continue to grow for various reasons. So the sad reality is that companies that don't have product market fit means they don't have a viable product or business, right? Their business is not viable at all, meaning it could shut down at any time. It can easily be disrupted. It's not scalable. And what happens when you are in that situation is that you always have to overcompensate in everything else that you do, right? You end up giving too much discounts. You end up really compromising your standards in order just to get those sales in. And it's always difficult to get the sales in because you're a Me Too product, okay? You're just like everybody else where you're just a commodity and there's nothing special about you as such. And this is why product market fit is so important to be proactive in actually finding that product market fit for your company. And also, when you don't have product market fit, there's very little margin. Right? It's not a worthwhile business so much, and it's very difficult to actually sustain such a business, right? And it means you have very little leverage in terms of value. So the day you decide to sell the business, or the day you decide, or you're looking for investors, there's only so much that you can sell equity in that business for. I hope that makes sense. So on the other hand, though, companies that have product market fit, they scale, all right? They have what's called word of mouth. I mean, rather, their word of mouth, and this is another way to see if you have product market fit. When you have product market fit, the word of mouth marketing works faster and quicker and gets you more clients than any advertising that you can do, okay? Because you're a product market fit, and when customers feel that your product or your service really does the job for them, guess what? They're going to tell everybody about it, and then just word of mouth spreads, right? And obviously having product market fit means you become a must-have, right? A must-have means you're not just nice to have. It means everybody wants to get a piece of what you offer. I mean, you may remember how quickly companies like Uber have just scaled in terms of everybody talking about them, and it just went to another level in terms of how quickly customers got to know about Uber, right? I mean, I hardly remember any ads really from companies like Uber and Airbnb. It was really about somebody else that I know telling me about these kind of products. And it's not just the digital products, okay? It's not just the digital companies from the US, but companies like Yoko, like Get Smarter, as I mentioned. Those are local companies, by the way, in case you're wondering, right? And also, here's the funny thing, right? You know, they say when you have a must-have, when you are a must-have or you have great product market fit, right? You can eat, which we don't recommend, okay? But you can even have bad customer experience. But because your product is so excellent, right? That's all that matters to clients, right? If your customer experience even lacks or is bad, you will still have customers coming back because what matters is the product fit, right? how the product fits and satisfies their market. So that's something very interesting as well. We're not suggesting that you compromise your customer service just because you have a great product, but we're just saying that it becomes that important, and that's what becoming a must-have means. And also, when you have product market fit, you are able to attract investment and investors on your terms and not on theirs, which is a great position to be in. So there are great benefits of being and having product market fit. Now, how do you go about designing a product that's going to be a product market fit, or that's going to be a market must-have? I'm sure a lot of you have seen this before, right? This is your business model canvas, which was designed by a company called Strategizer about 15, maybe 20 years ago now. They've done an excellent job of really contextualizing how you can design a viable and scalable business model. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this in the second tactic though. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because the first tactic, as we're still talking about product market fit, is really made up of two pieces, okay? Which is the value proposition and your customer segments. Now, your value proposition, which is the blue box, is really all the wonderful, tangible and non-tangible benefits and advantages that your customer receives, right? That they get from dealing with you and from buying your product or using your service, whatever the case may be. So think about all the products, all the benefits and advantages that your product or your service entails and it contains. That is what makes up your value proposition. And obviously your customer segments are the different customer bases that would buy your product. I want to show you two very quick examples with companies that have amazing value propositions, okay? And I know you were not expecting this, right? But Pep, and the beauty of it, and let me maybe ask you, what is the value proposition for Pep, you think? Why do people go to Pep? If you can just please type it in the chat box, just quickly tell me, why do you think people go to Pep? i.e., what is the value proposition for Pep? Please just quickly type it. Affordable, great. Price, yes. Pricing, definitely, right? They've got low prices for value, for great value. Now, the reason why I say this, and maybe let me use the second example just to show you how wide this is, okay? How widely accepted or prevalent this is. Let's look at the next one, okay? Why do people go to Woolworths? You can just type quickly for me. Why do people shop at Woolworths? Quality, right? Quality. Now, this is the beauty of having a product market fit. It's because it gets to a point where it's so clear to everyone, okay? This is what these companies, yes, they are massive companies, but what they've done is they've been very, very intentional and very proactive in defining who their customer bases are. Because I'm sure you'll agree that the average Pep customer is not the average Woolworths customer, right? And here's the thing: you can buy similar things at those different call it different retailers, right? You can get clothes. Yes, you don't get groceries as such at Pep, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the things that they go into next. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is different retailers have different value propositions, and those value propositions they offer to different customer bases. Okay. That's very important to get right. So that is really the beginning of defining and establishing a product market fit. Okay. So how do you do that? How do you define a great value proposition? Okay. Going back to Strategizer's tools, this one being the business model canvas. Now, let me just go back. These two pieces, okay? I'm going to show you an image that looks slightly different to one you're seeing on the screen now. By taking these two pieces, which is called your value proposition and your customer segments, okay? They take those two out, which is here, your value proposition and your customer segments. Those two pieces alone make up a slightly different canvas. That canvas is called the value proposition design canvas, okay? I hope that makes sense, the value proposition design canvas. We'll come back to the business model canvas shortly. Now, as I mentioned, these are tools that were designed by companies like Strategizer, and they are open source tools, so anybody can use them. And I highly recommend that you look them up and you use them for yourself. And again, as part of learning. And the minute you know how to use these tools, you'll be amazed at just the opportunities that they'll open for you. And obviously, we are here to help you with that as well. Now, again, I'm just taking these two pieces. This piece here is really the value proposition. And obviously here, this is your customer segment. The next screen is simply expanding on that, okay? This is merely magnified, right? Now, when you start looking at your value proposition, there are different components. This being your customer segments, meaning your customer profile. We're gonna look at one customer profile, for example. One of the most important things that you need to do is truly understand the jobs that your customer is trying to achieve, okay? Your customers are doing very specific things in order to achieve certain gains, okay? There are certain results that they want to achieve, but in order to do that, there are things that they must do. Now, the unfortunate thing, as life has it, right? When you do certain things, okay, there are pains and frustrations that you feel, okay? And unfortunately, what a lot of companies do is they avoid speaking to the pains that their customer is experiencing. And therefore, they actually don't develop the kind of products that will solve for those pains and to ensure that the customers really truly achieve their gains. Now, let me give you an example. Let's use Uber again, because I'm sure all of us will understand this example. So a customer that wants to use a taxi, what they're trying to do, the gains that they're trying to achieve is they want to travel, number one, travel from point A to point B, right? They want to travel safely. They want to move their luggage if they have their luggage. And they don't necessarily want to use their own car as such if they have one. So those are the gains that they want to achieve. And they want to arrive on time. They want to make sure that they're going to be safe, okay? Now, in order to do that, some of the things they need to do is hail a cab. They're going to need to get a cab, right? As one of the jobs that they do. But now, prior to the likes of Uber and Bolt, some of the pains that the customers used to experience is not knowing the kind of driver that you'd get, right? Not knowing what time the driver will arrive, not knowing if they'll ever arrive, right? Not knowing the kind of quality standards and the delivery, the quality, the standard of quality in as far as that particular driver is able to do, able to deliver on, okay? And as a matter of fact, many parents, right? Many parents would never allow the kids to climb into a taxi with some driver that they know. So some of the pains that they used to experience is anxiety and obviously, things like needing to make sure you go and get money from an ATM before you can pay the driver. So all of those pains, right? But what did Uber do? Uber came up with what's called pain relievers, right? Obviously that app, the Uber app, allows one to pay for the ride without cash. As such, yes, they do have a cash option as well, but I'm sure you get the point, right? Some of the gain creators, you are able to see when the driver is going to arrive. You are able to see the quality of the driver in terms of how they've been rated before. You are able to trust that your kids, if you're using Uber for your kids, that they'll be able to arrive safely because of credit, of track record and so forth. I hope that makes sense. So in order to establish product market fit, there's a very specific process that you need to go through, and you need to go back and look at things have changed now. Remember, we spoke about instant gratification. We spoke about personalization of products and services. We spoke about on-demand delivery. Now you need to reflect and meditate on this as a team or as a group of people who work in the same business, and really ask yourselves, what exactly does our customer want to achieve? What are the gains, right? And in order for them to achieve those gains, what are some of the jobs? What are some of the things that they need to do in order to achieve those gains? And while they're doing those jobs, what pains are they experiencing, right? And therefore, you're going to look at how your value proposition, meaning your products and services, collectively or as separate items, how can they work together in order to help the client achieve those gains? Does it make sense? Please just type yes or no in your chat box. Does it make sense what we just covered? Excellent. Wonderful. So folks, this is really the number one and most important thing that you need to do in order to scale your business. Okay. But that's not all. Okay. there's more, right? So technique number one, you have to establish product market fit, and you have to be very consistent, and you have to be very proactive and intentional about that process. Okay, we are no longer in a world that accepts Me Too products, right? Just your standard commodity products. Those are the companies that have failed the most over the last couple of months and years, obviously. Right. Now, tactic number two, we spoke about value proposition and customer segments. These two pieces really make up the product market fit. Okay. The best way in which they fit the needs of the customer would obviously increase the degree to which you have product market fit. But you still need to have a vehicle that's going to deliver that value proposition. And this is where the business model comes in. Okay. Tactic number two that we have to achieve is to establish a scalable business model. All right. Fantastic. Carl says key to ensure business has a right to exist. 100%. That is so true, right? Businesses that don't survive is primarily because they do not have the economic right to exist. That is very important. And when we accept that, we become aware and conscious of how much work we really need to do in order to achieve that. Okay. So as I was saying, what you need to do next is design what's called a scalable business model, right? And again, this is one of those tools that Strategizer has built. Two companies that we worked with and are working with right now that have done this very well. One of them is MACROBERT attorneys. Okay, I'm going to share with you just exactly what they did. So a business model is really a blueprint that defines your business strategy. Okay, a lot of people jump into a strategy without having looked at their value proposition, without having looked at their business model. It'll become very difficult if you don't innovate those two pieces if you want to have a high growth business strategy. So I highly recommend that you do those pieces before you look at your overall business strategy. And your business model really describes, again, the value proposition, its repeatability, and how you can scale an entire business. So how do you ensure that your business model is scalable? There are three pieces that your business model must have. Number one, we discussed, it must unlock product market fit value. Okay, it must provide so much amazing value that obviously more and more people will want to come and buy it. And it does not necessarily need to be a technology product or service. Okay. Some people have done very little, it's called soft innovation. You can do very soft, innovative things to your product and your service to actually create something that's unique. And I'll show you something that one of our clients has done very, very recently, as a matter of fact. Number two, in order for your business model to be scalable, you have to be able to teach what your business does to other people, okay, especially for small businesses. Meaning you can't be the only one that provides that product or service. There has to be other people that you can easily teach what you do, so that even if you're not around, or so that the business actually doesn't rely on any one particular individual. Okay, so that's very important for being able to scale the business. And this also helps to simplify the complexity in your business. It'll force you to simplify those complexities so that not only is it easy for people within the business to be able to deliver, but you can actually outsource it, right? There are some companies that are doing amazing things after having outsourced the delivery of their value proposition. I mean, again, I'm going to speak to companies like Uber and Airbnb. Yes, both are struggling right now, but it's the concept that matters, which is how can you have a scalable business model that does not necessarily rely on your infrastructure, okay? Meaning when you need to grow, you don't have to be, your expenses don't grow by that much. And lastly, very important, for the business model to be scalable and to be profitable, your customers must keep coming back to buy from you, okay? You can't and shouldn't have the kind of business that relies on having to look for new customers every month. Okay, that's not going to be a scalable business. So you have to find a way how your product market fit enables clients to keep coming back to you. Okay, because that helps obviously in as far as ensuring that you just sell once to a customer and they keep coming back for life. So those are three very important pieces in order for your business to become scalable, or your business model to become scalable. One of our clients, MACROBERT Attorneys, they've been in business for over 100 years, very traditional company. But a few years ago, they started developing a new value proposition, and it's in the form of what they call a small business portal. So small businesses also require legal services like any other medium to large businesses. However, we know that many of them cannot afford those legal fees. And so what MACROBERT attorneys did is they created a portal, right? The portal that helps small businesses to actually generate legal contracts and agreements and legal documents at a press of a button, really. So, and I feel free to go and check them out at MACROBERT Attorneys. You'll see a little button on the right-hand side where you can check it out. And there's a little video there that you can play to understand a little bit more about the portal. But basically what it is it's an automated system that has templates and templates of legal contracts that you can customize for every activity that you are dealing with, whether you are dealing with clients or employees or whatever the case may be. So that's a very smart way of having scaled their business, i.e. it doesn't need lawyers, right, in order to deliver legal support and legal advice to its customers. Very smart business model. Another example of how business model can be used. So you look at this this lady who sells she sells plates, right? It's chisanyama, the traditional chisanyama, and we know in the townships and in small towns and in certain towns and so forth. But basically what this lady does is her value proposition is merely to provide a meal to somebody who's hungry, right? But if you take what we discussed around the business model, like Stilio Nathaniel, right? Stilio Nathaniel saw this idea a few years ago. And what did he do? He took the very same product, created a completely different business out of it. He created Chisanyama, the franchise. Now you might think they're selling the same thing. Actually, no, they're not selling the same thing, right? The lady who sells plates sells a meal to people who are hungry. On the other hand, Stilio Nathaniel's franchise sells business and income opportunities for entrepreneurs who want to create wealth. How's that, right? Completely different businesses, but very same product, so to speak, different value proposition. So think about how you can take an existing product, whether it belongs, something that you're currently trading in or something that's related to what you do, and you could really create a scalable business model out of that. All right, Net Florist did the same thing in the flower and gifting space, obviously before COVID-19. But again, the smart thing about scalable business models is that you can pivot very quickly. Now, when customers are no longer ordering gifts and flowers like they used to, Net Florist simply used the infrastructure to help companies that needed to do door-to-door deliveries, right? How's that? Very quickly, they were able to pivot. And again, this is one of those very smart things about having a scalable business model. All right, Nespresso was also another company that created a scalable business model using, rather Nestle, using the Nespresso business model. I'm sure you guys have come across these coffee machines that really just left the competitors in the coffee dust, so to speak, right? And this, obviously the scalable piece about this business is you buy the machine very cheap or very affordable, and then it's the pods that you create, that you sell on an ongoing basis that is a very scalable and profitable aspect of their business. And as a result, Nespresso grew by 30% annually for a few good years. It'll be interesting to see how well they're doing now. All right, so that's tactic number 2. Those 2 pieces are very important. I know it took me a while to go through them, but it needs a lot of detail. So I'm quickly going to go to tactic number 3. Tactic number 3, and I think this is more relevant now than ever before, but you need to build what's called an automated marketing and sales machine, okay? Because the way customers buy these days has changed completely, right? A lot of it has gone digital, has gone online. But the unfortunate thing is a lot of salespeople and entrepreneurs miss their sales targets. And the reason they do that is because sales has changed, but very few of them actually have changed according to those new ways that customers purchase their products and services, all right? So Karen says, my friend said that Nespresso consumption has embarrassingly doubled in this lockdown period. Okay, I mean, of course, right? Because the likes of Starbucks have closed or were not trading at the time for a very long time. And clearly, those coffee fanatics has really, doubled. They were already doing well, right? I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. Thanks, Karen. All right, so back to sales and marketing. Sales and marketing has changed, and we have to understand that we can't keep selling the same way that we used to sell, right? Before last year, or last year and before, it was known that especially business to business clients would typically be anywhere between 65 to 90% through the buying process, through purchasing, before they actually contact you. Meaning they would have been on your website, they would have gone to your competitor's website, they would have checked out your social media, they would have checked out all of these different digital assets before they actually even contact you. And one of the weirdest things about this, or funny things rather, is that you'll find that customers end up knowing more than your salespeople really about the competitive landscape out there, because they've got access to all of this information and they do all of this research prior to them getting in touch with you. So obviously customers would typically become aware of their need. Then they'll start looking at products and services from a consideration perspective and then make a decision. So it's normally when they're about to decide that they'll typically get in touch with you. So what do we need to do? We need to get to a place where customers get in touch with us during their awareness stage, i.e. as soon as they become aware, when they start looking for those products and services or ways to solve those problems, that they find us, or they find answers to those questions on our website. The late Zig Ziglar said something very relevant. Right? He said, if people or customers like you, they'll listen to you. But if they trust you, then they'll do business with you. And we know how trust has been eroded in business over the last decade or so, right? And so it's become so much more important for you to gain that trust in as far as your customer is concerned. And there are ways to do that. And this is partly how these automated marketing and sales tools work. And so what you need to do really is to get your customers to know, like, and trust you. And there are important questions to answer along the way. One of them is, who are you and what do you do? Okay. A big question that may seem unfair that they ask is, should they care, right? Nobody wants to waste their time and efforts and energy on something that they don't have to care about, right? Because as human beings, we are inherently selfish, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? And once they've answered that question, if they do realize, oh, maybe you have something that they need to care about, then they check if they like you, right? Because I don't know about you, but it's difficult for me to do business with anybody I don't like, okay? With somebody I don't like, rather. And more than just like, you need to trust that company. You need to trust that brand. And so we need to cross this bridge, okay? We need to cross this know, like, trust bridge. And using automated sales and marketing systems can really help us to achieve that. And one of the reasons we really need to implement these systems is because you are busy, right? Your customers are busy. Everybody's busy. And so you can't keep manually following up on people in terms of what, whether they are ready to buy from you and when they're looking for information from you. Doing all of that manually can really deplete your resources. And obviously for small businesses, that's nearly impossible to do that. And when you look at sales pipeline, traditional sales pipeline, you'd typically run a campaign, you'd have 100 people being interested in the product, but you may find that just only about 10% are able to end up being interested. So as you can see, there's a lot of leads that fall through the cracks here. And one of the best ways to be able to fill up those cracks is using automated systems that don't necessarily rely on you in order to do that. And look, folks, when we don't follow up, it means we don't nurture relationships. And when we don't nurture relationships, customers will end up with our customers. And just quickly, I want to share with you some of the stats here. If you look here, the first one on the left, only 2% of sales really close on the first call, all right? And 81%, meaning a great majority of the sales, will close after the fifth call. And unfortunately, just about half of salespeople and entrepreneurs will quit following up with the lead halfway, or rather on the first call, about half of them. And only 10% will really quit after the fifth call. What this means is we end up wasting a lot of leads, okay, because we don't follow up. And again, having a system that enables you to entice, sign up, nurture, and automate this entire process will help you to improve the likelihood of having a successful sales and marketing pipeline. So I've got all of this information, obviously, there. It's in some of our books. And obviously, for those who don't know, I'll be sharing with you the links that you can use to download a little bit more information around this. And just in closing this particular tactic, what these systems help us to do is to cross that bridge that we spoke about, which is to know, like, and trust from our customers in order for us to be able to do business with them. So these systems are incredible. They've been around for just about 2 decades now. And look, they were nice to haves prior to COVID-19, right? But now they are must-haves. You need to have something that's going to help you to automate your processes and systems. They'll help you to increase the number of customers, to increase the value of purchases, as well as the frequency of those purchases. Those 3 things are really key in helping you to have a successful marketing and sales strategy. All right. Tactic number 4, we are nearly done. I know I'm just throwing so much at you right now. And I hope it's still making sense. Maybe can you just let me know in the chat box if everything is still making sense. And just remember, if you have any questions, please do send them through. We'll look at them just before we close. All right, fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. Awesome. Let's keep going. All right. So also what's very important, a lot of things have changed now, right? Businesses have impacted in ways that are in a very significant way. And that's because things have changed. Externally, customers have got new expectations. Customers have got new ways that they buy and that they sell. What that means, right, is we need to change how we do things. And how we do things is pretty much known as a process, okay? So what we need to do is we need to implement business processes. It's also known as working on the business or working on your division or business unit, okay? The unfortunate thing is a lot of people are actually trapped in their own businesses, i.e. the business relies so much on them that if they don't do anything, the business doesn't add money. And so we need to not only redefine our business processes because we don't want the business relying on us, but we want the business to operate in the most efficient and the most effective way. Because again, our customers' expectations have changed. And if we want to meet those expectations, we really need to be able to deliver on those expectations. All right, Katlejo says you really like this. I'm glad. Thank you. Thanks for that. Appreciate it, Katlejo. So what is meant by a business process, okay, or meant to be process dependent? We need to build our businesses, our business units, so that they are process dependent and not dependent on any specific human being. And I'm not saying don't create jobs. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying even when you create the jobs, you want to ensure that, remember earlier, one of the things we spoke about is that your business model needs to be, your value proposition rather, needs to be easily teachable to other people. You want to make it such that your processes are also easy to teach to other people, especially to new staff members, right? As they come in, because you want to shorten that process, how long and how quickly it takes for you to get somebody quickly up and running, and obviously for them to improve so that they're able to do more. Right? Process dependent really means being able to run and do and action all the business activities so that they happen consistently, regardless of whether the business owner or the manager or the director is actually present in the business or not. Okay. There are a lot of benefits. I know you can only imagine for yourself what those benefits are. So what are some of the important and critical processes that you need to ensure that you look at and you prioritize more than others? Obviously, generating and converting leads into paying customers. We spoke about the previous tactic, which was having an automated marketing and sales machine, really speaks to that. All right. And being able to fulfill the promises made to customers, that is critical, right? That is critical. Oh, Askhomutsu says, thanks for the great insight and application. I'm glad this is making sense. Thank you for the feedback. And obviously being able to invoice your customers and collecting payments, all of these things are very important to automate, especially for those small businesses, because now you are required to do maybe 10 times more than what you've been able to do before. Okay, we really need to leverage on those few resources that we have available, and also processes will help you to train, hire staff, and to be able to keep the best staff, obviously. All right, the benefits very quickly. When you have automated business processes and systems, you are able to deliver great value consistently, right? Remember, going back to having a great product market fit is when you want that, what you want to be in a position to do is when one customer says, this is the kind of service that I received, when they come back, they need to be able to receive the same kind of quality service. Okay, processes will help you with that. Processes also improve productivity and profitability. You're able to do a lot more, and it also helps to increase your return on investment in as far as building that business. Okay, it improves productivity and profitability as mentioned. Sorry, what I meant to say here by increased return on investment is that a process dependent business is worth 100 times more than one that isn't. So if you're looking to sell your business one day, one of the biggest and best things that you can do is to invest in developing business processes, because nobody wants to buy a business that's dependent on a particular individual. And also this allows you to be able to have what's called a multiplier effect, whether that means opening other branches or actually converting your business into some sort of a franchise. And obviously, when you have processes, there's business continuity. So these are amazing benefits. And best of all, you can take time off. How you like that, right? You can take time off during work, okay? And it's all really about working on your business, not in your business. So if you're looking to transition in as far as, you know, having those benefits that we discussed, you want to start working on your business and not necessarily just in your business. All right. Okay. We are nearing the end. So if you don't mind, just so we can cover everything, some things that I don't think are too critical, I'm going to skip. For example, that we can't really go into you know, extensive detail in as far as the elements of a business process, but I'm available. You've got my email address. I'd be more than happy to continue sharing more information on this. But elements of a business process rather, really is about being able to link the beginning of an activity. A business process is really a set of tasks, okay, that are structured in such a way that they help you to accomplish or to achieve a very specific goal. And when that goal is completed or achieved, it will produce some sort of a product or service to someone, like a customer, right? It'll deliver some customer satisfaction to a customer. A business process has a beginning, it has an input, which are different activities in between, and it obviously has the output, as we mentioned, okay? And how do you go about implementing business processes? It starts with your strategy. Okay, you need to know what it is that you want to build, the kind of business you want to build, what it must do, for whom it must do it. Because you remember, if you go back to the Pep and the Woolworths example, those two customer segments have got different customer expectations, right? You need to know what your strategy is first before you can create the most relevant business processes. Once you've done that, once you have a strategy, you'll be in a position to list the processes that need to be created in order to help you achieve that strategy. And then you then take your organizational chart, okay? Ideally, do not go online searching for examples of organizational charts. Yes, you can look at organizational charts online for purposes of inspiration and for samples, but try and make sure that you design your org chart based on the processes, okay? That needs to be action that needs to be taken care of. And then what you do next, in order to create what's called measurable job descriptions. Again, you can go online just to look for inspiration, but the best way to create measurable job descriptions is to look at the process list and actually match it to the job roles. Okay, that's one of the best ways to create what's called measurable job descriptions. That speaks to your business, all right? Not just some random business that you found online, okay? So you can look at business processes and job descriptions online, but you want to customize those and make them your own. And then once you've done that, the next thing is to design the processes themselves, right? There's ways and methodologies that you can use to actually teach your people, because it's the people who are actioning those specific tasks that are in the best position to actually design processes. So it's really about finding ways to teach them. And if you need help with that, we are obviously here to help. Once you've designed the processes, or as you are designing your processes, then you are able to start identifying the most important systems that are required, right? And when you look at these two pieces, okay, this is really the sure way to digitally transform your business, okay? This one screen here is really key to helping you achieve what's called digital transformation, which is very important, is very critical right now in as far as the new normal, so to speak. Okay, so tactic number 4, implement business processes and systems. All right, tactic number 5, we are nearing the end. This is really the last tactic that I'm going to be speaking to you about. In order to achieve 10x growth, right, the mind and the skills of your team, right, in order for you to achieve that, it all starts with you, the business leader or the manager or the executive in the business. And we used to use this as tactic number 1, but we find that it was the least sexy out of all of these tactics. And so we found a way of just bringing it at the end, right? But it also makes sense, okay? You want to find out what kind of team you need based on all of these things that need to happen, okay? There's a gentleman named Bill Gross. Now, Bill Gross did a TED Talk in 2015 called The Single Biggest Reason Why Businesses Succeed and Why Some Fail. And in that talk, he did extensive research, and one of the outcomes that came out of that research is that teams are one of the most important pieces for that contribute to the success of a business. He looked at over 200 businesses, and basically he found that these common failures and successes, or these common success factors, so to speak. And as you can see on the screen, teams is actually number 2, right? But it's more important than the product. It's more important than the business model. It's more important than the funding that you need in order to grow that business, right? But look at number 1, okay? Number 1 is the timing, which very few of us have control over. Timing means the timing at which the product goes live, okay? Very few companies, very few people knew that COVID-19 was going to happen in the way that it did, right? And so for some businesses, the timing was just perfect, right, for that product and service. And very few people could have known that. And I'm sure you've heard the quote that says, nothing will ever stand in the way of a product or service whose time has arrived, okay? But one of the ways to do that is to consistently and proactively learn how to pivot, how to use things like the value proposition canvas and the business model canvas in order to design the kind of product that would, again, suit your product from a product market fit perspective. Talking about putting together a team, one of the ways to build a team is to obviously know yourself, okay? Know your true strengths, know your limits, and that way you get to understand whom you need to leverage with. And this is one of those things that we really undermine or don't take too serious, but there are ways to do this. One of the ways is to obviously use tools like the Contribution Compass, which are profiling tools that help you to understand your true strength, your weaknesses. They may not be 100% accurate. Nothing is perfect in this world, I'm sure you'll agree, but they help. They help you to have a very systematic approach to identifying your strengths, your team members' strengths, and therefore how to go about building a team. So there's a very extensive methodology that we use using the Contribution Compass. And if you're interested, I'd love to tell you more about this. There are little brochures that we can send you to help you understand a little bit more about this. Folks, I don't want to take too much of your time. We have about 2 minutes left. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to quickly rush through the rest of these slides. And again, I'm glad that we have covered at least all of them. So if you do have a question or two, please feel free to send it through the chat box or the Q&A now, and I'll take a look shortly. So building a high performance team, there's a very precise and very proactive way to do that, right? You start by understanding what the business needs from a flow perspective, right? And then you want to take the best, and a lot of us need to change our businesses now, right? You don't want to just move people. You don't want to just move people without understanding whether they'll do well in that particular role. And this is where profiling tools come in, right? You may have lost some staff members, and so you need to make the most of the people who are remaining in the business. Don't just move people around. Really assess and analyze a profile so that you know if you're moving somebody who's always been an admin and now you're moving them to your marketing division, those two roles require two completely different profiles. So make sure that you understand whether somebody is creative or somebody is able to do well in the marketing space versus are they shy and they prefer to just close themselves off in their office and just do admin all day long. Okay, those two people, as great as they are in what they do, they may not necessarily be interchangeable in as far as those roles are concerned. So again, we use tools like the Contribution Compass in order to create high performance teams. Also, it's very important, and this is really the last piece that I want to speak to. it's very important that you commit to continuous learning as a team, not just for yourself. As a team, that's extremely important. And you do that by reading, okay? I'm not just punting my books here, but there are many, many amazing books that will help you to achieve that. Katlejo says, will we be sharing the slides? We generally don't share the slides, Katlejo, but I'll see what I can do, okay? I'm gonna have to talk to my people and see if they allow me to share the slides, okay? But otherwise, this webinar is being recorded. I'd be more than happy to share it with you. So one of the things that was said over the last decades, last 2 decades, is it takes, you know, the most successful entrepreneurs and business executives are people who read about at least 1 book a month, okay? So you're looking at about reading 24 books in a year, or rather 12 rather. So anywhere between 1 and 2 a month is really it's very necessary right now, okay? It's very important, all right? Okay, and Tabi Singh says she needs to bounce. That's great. Thank you very much for attending. Folks, just in closing, in recapping, these are the 5 tactics that you need to grow your business. You need to establish a product market fit, design a scalable business model that's going to deliver that product market fit service. And then you need to create a marketing and sales automated machine and implement processes. And lastly, to build a high performance team. Thank you very much to everybody who's attended. And should you need any help, we've got a business accelerator on our website. You can go to againbusiness.com/accelerator. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. You can send a chat right now, and I'd be more than happy to address any questions. So in respecting your time, we are about a minute or 2 over, and I appreciate your time. I hope that you've learned. I hope you've gotten value out of being here with us today. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the feedback. We really, really appreciate it. All right, I'm going to stick around for another 2 minutes for people who have any questions. Be more than happy to address those. Once again, thank you. I will send you a follow-up email with some links to additional content, to some of our books that you can download for free. And I'll also share with you some of the templates from the likes of Strategizer and so on. Again, thank you very much. I hope that you got value. Appreciate it. Yes, I will share the slides with you. I will share the recordings. I'll actually share the recording of the webinar. So if you can just give us a couple of hours, we'll send it later this afternoon or the latest first thing tomorrow morning. All right, everyone, thank you very much. I'm logging off now. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, again, just email me. Much appreciated. Take care.